Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reading the last chapter of Blaire Wilson's first book by Jennifer Castle. Chapter 22, Sharing This Moment. I stood at the edge of the orchard, holding my bouquet of wildflowers. I was surprised that my hands were shaking. "You okay?" Thea whispered, straightening the sash at my back. I felt like the fanciest junior bridesmaid in my blue dress with its delicate floral pattern. The cap sleeves were so sheer, they felt like fairy wings. My favorite part was the skirt, which was longer in the back than the front. I basically never wanted to take it off. "I'm nervous," I whispered back, "and excited. Nerve-excited." "That makes two of us," Kat said from behind the row of bridesmaids. "There was no need to be nervous," Thea assured us. "At this point, what could go wrong?" Thea took her seat as the guitar player started. "Here comes the sun." That was my cue. Gabe, standing in front of the gazebo, gave me a small nod. He looked completely relaxed. I took a deep breath. Here we go. One foot in front of the other. As I started walking down the aisle, everyone turned to look. All those smiles felt like spotlight shining on me. I thought about what Grandpa had told me this morning. Just enjoy the moment. So instead of focusing on my nerves, I focused on how beautiful everything was. We had decorated the gazebo with wildflowers from the field and copper-colored paper fans that shimmered in the sun. I saw the arch to the orchard, which was draped in lavender tulle. The nearby apple trees were hung with more coppery paper fans, which swayed gently in the breeze. It was all simple and romantic and perfect. I made it to the gazebo and took my place on one side. Dad, Mom, and Grandpa beamed at me from their seats in the front row. Beckett rolled his eyes and tugged at the bow tie around his neck. After Gabe's two groomsmen walked Kat's bridesmaids down the aisle, everyone rose. Kat practically floated across the lawn. She was wearing a sleeveless, cream-colored dress overlaid with lace. Her brother, in his military dress uniform, looked so proud to be escorting Kat down the aisle. When they reached the gazebo, Lorenzo kissed Kat on the cheek. She squeezed his hand, and I could see both of them tearing up. I knew without a doubt it had been worth it to rush the planning so that he could be here. Lorenzo took his place next to Mom, and everyone sat down. Kat took a deep breath and stepped toward Gabe. She looked more nervous than I'd ever seen her. But instead of taking Kat's hand to lead her into the gazebo, where the minister was waiting, Gabe turned, picked up a bag from the ground, and pulled out a sandwich. "Huh? Turkey sub?" he asked. Kat started laughing. "What? We're not just having a picnic in the gazebo," Gabe asked with a straight face. Then he grinned and tossed the sandwich to one of the groomsmen, who unwrapped one end and took a big bite. All the guests cracked up. As Gabe took Kat's hand and led her to the gazebo, I could see that Kat wasn't nervous anymore. Gabe's sandwich stunt had calmed her down. That's why they were meant to be together. After the ceremony, as Kat and Gabe posed for pictures in the gazebo, Dad introduced me to the reporter from Empire State Weddings. Kat had agreed to let someone from the magazine review the wedding because she knew the exposure would be good for the farm. It was her gift to us for hosting her wedding. "Blaire helped plan the wedding," Dad told the reporter. "She did all the decorations herself." The woman from the magazine nodded and wrote something in her notebook. "Wait till you see the barn," I told her, hoping she would be impressed with it. Kat and Gabe climbed onto the tandem bike, which Thea and I had decorated with wildflowers and lavender-colored ribbons. As they set off through the orchard, the guitars played A Bicycle Built for Two. Kat and Gabe rode under the arch and down the path to the barn, which was lined with luminarias we'd light later in the evening. The wedding guests followed on foot, and Thea and I hurried ahead to make sure everything was ready. Once we were inside the barn, Thea flipped the switch on Mrs. V's bubble machine. As my eyes adjusted from the bright sunshine, I saw bubbles floating out into the breeze, and vases of wildflowers wrapped in tulle, and chickens pecking the floorboards near the head table. Wait, chickens? They were everywhere. Chickens strutted across the dance floor and hopped up onto the bales of hay that had been set up to hold gifts. Several were perched on the newly painted windowsills. Dandelion was next to the chicken crate card box, examining the painted eggs. "Dandy, no," I said, scooping up the silky. Behind me, Thea said, I don't remember this as part of the plan." "Thea, we have to get the chickens out of here before anyone else sees. Quick, close the front door." "Too late," Thea whispered as Kat and Gabe appeared. Mrs. V was right behind them, with the magazine reporter beside her. "You're going to love this space," Mrs. V was saying to the reporter. "It's absolutely perfect." "Better make that bird effect," Thea said as Mrs. V let out a shriek. The reporter started scribbling something in her notebook. I looked at Kat, horrified that her reception was overrun with chickens. But Kat just started laughing as guests began streaming in. She greeted them by saying, "Welcome to Farm Fancy." "Yes," Gabe added, "find your seat. It may include a free chicken." "Well, at least Kat and Gabe don't seem too upset," Thea said to me. "Thank goodness for that," I agreed, handing Dandy to Thea. "But we're going to have to explain this to the magazine reporter." I saw Beckett come into the barn, and I waved him over. "Beckett." Beckett looked guilty as he crossed the room. "I guess I must have left the coop open after I collected the eggs this morning," he said. "I'm really sorry." "We'll talk later," I said, pointing to his bow tie. "Right now, I need that." "Take it," he said, pulling off the tie. "It's choking me." "Thanks. Now get me one other chicken, and then get the rest of them out of here." I tore a piece of tulle fabric off one of the centerpieces, pulled a flower from my bouquet, and made a mini makeshift veil. I managed to tuck the veil into the feathers on Dandy's head. Beckett handed me another chicken. I took the bow tie and slipped it over the bird's head. Ta-da! Picture perfect junior bride and groom. We presented the chickens to Kat and Gabe, who laughed as they posed for pictures with them. The magazine reporter took some photos and then came over to me. "This is quite the setup," she said. To my amazement and relief, she sounded impressed. "Oh, I said, "we do whatever we can to make weddings special here at Pleasant View Farm." Once Beckett and Thea got all the chickens out of the barn and we did some fast cleanup, the wait staff came through with trays of appetizers. I watched one guest try the spinach cheese puffs I'd helped Mom make. She smiled after she took a bite, then reached for another one. I couldn't have any, but it sure made me happy to know she was enjoying them. When it was time for dinner, Grandpa held out my chair so I could sit down. Then he took the chair next to mine. "Well, Blaire," he said, "I think you pulled it off. Are you happy?" "I am," I said, nodding. "Are you happy?" "I am," he admitted. He paused and looked around the room. I wish my parents could see this happening in their old, run-down barn. I think they'd be pleased that we created this place for people to come together, don't you?" Grandpa put his arm around me. "I think you're right. I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but bring on more weddings." When dinner was finished, Kat and Gabe fed each other spoonfuls of crème brûlée. Mom brought me a dish of the dairy-free version and I dug right in. Even if I find out that I can start eating dairy again, this coconut creme brulee will be a keeper. I was scrapping up the last delicious bite when Kat and Gabe took the microphone from the DJ. "We want to thank everyone for celebrating with us," Gabe said. "And we want to thank the Wilsons for making this such an incredible day." "We owe a special thanks to Blaire Wilson," Kat added. "Sprout, this song is for you." With that, the DJ started playing Do the Funky Chicken. Mrs. Vandergriff and Lorenzo were the first on the dance floor, followed by Gabe and Kat. Then Mom and Dad. Thea grabbed Beckett, and they began strutting around the dance floor, pretending to be chickens. I went to get Mom's phone to take some pictures, but then I saw the wedding photographer shooting candids of all the dancers, and I realized there would be plenty of photos, so I headed to the dance floor too. The best way to enjoy this moment was sharing it with the people I loved, right here, right now. I stepped on the dance floor and flapped my arms like chicken wings. Everything's good. Wow, guys, I think the wedding turned out to be absolutely beautiful, and Blaire's grandpa is down for weddings now, and the barn was ready. I think everything was just perfect, and what a wonderful way to end Blaire Wilson's first book. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed all the chapters of Blaire Wilson's book. We will be putting together a video with all of the chapters, so if you guys want to listen to the whole entire book in one video, you guys will be able to do that. Thanks for watching. See you soon!